really good. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Heck yeah.
If you have a pretty good phone, like you could plug anything into it. I mean, it's better to get the good stuff or whatever, but if you don't mind buying headphones every 3 weeks, because they break apart, then all of them are good, I think.
You
And
haven't
you
had to
know what?
replace yours yet, have you?
Well, no, but they're falling apart because I keep falling asleep with them on my head, and I have a weird sleep schedule, but like I finally got it to where it's regular now, you know, and I don't want to mess with it, but it's like I sleep from like 8 a.m. to 11, and then I sleep from like 1 to 3, and then I sleep from like, maybe midnight to 1. And like because it's been like that for like 3 weeks, I'm afraid to mess with it. I'm like, okay, I'm getting 7 hours. I'm pretty good, man. This is pretty good sleep.
Yeah.
And I dream every time I sleep, so I figure that's good.
Do you, do you remember your dreams all the time?
Um, yeah, it depends on what they're about. Like most of them are me like with my kids when they were very very young, and me
Yeah.
always and me always feeling like I'm gonna run out of medication, because like when I was with them, I never like investigated my mental health or whatever. I was like, I don't really have a problem. I'll just drink, when things are rough or whatever. And I,
Yeah.
started having like a real bad drinking problem, and then I ended up getting help later where they gave me medicine or whatever, which I don't like that either. But it's better of two evils, I guess. And then I've tried to come off many times just trying to use faith, but it always ends up bad. Like I always end up in trouble. And so I always have dreams of like them as babies and me running out of medicine, knowing that I'm gonna have to probably do some kind of substance to feel better. And it's always that fear of like, doing any kind of mind altering substance, the fear of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I won't even take a pain pill now. I mean, I get real bad migraines and I take like Excedrin, like Excedrin with caffeine, but I'm afraid to take anything like that. I'm afraid that it'll alter my mind.
Right.
'Cause I don't want to
I
be
know
hooked on
it's
that stuff.
yeah.
Can you imagine the spiritual maladies you would rack up being on drugs all the time?
Yeah, I
That
mean it's a dark world, you know. And they do
because
that
you're
because they don't cure nobody. They just medicate people, you know.
yeah, yeah. A lot of times. A lot of times they do. Well, nowadays they have these things. It's like maintenance. The people are on drugs and then they have like methadone or something like that, or something to just keep them going.
Yeah,
Like
just
keep
another drug, right?
right, right, and it can almost be more of a problem because they're still probably wanting to use, but they have that backup plan. Just in case they don't score. So it gives them more incentive to not try to quit.
Right. And then they're giving that for free, which then they go sell to get their
Yeah,
drugs.
yeah, yeah. Usually it's like, people are on Medicare or whatever. They get it for free pretty much, and it's the taxpayers got to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but like, there's people that actually pay cash to be on that stuff. Which is
That's
insane,
crazy.
man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane, man. And I talk to addicts all the time because like I always go for, I always go to meetings for, well, not since the COVID thing, but I always go to, the group therapy meetings they had at the VA. I used to go every day, and I run into a lot of other people that had addiction problems, and they would tell me, 3, 4 times they tried to quit and what they did and what didn't work, but every single one of them that I've seen that made it like with a regular normal life, like kind of like say like I'm the lowest level of living, right? Where you're on your own, you take care of yourself, you have your own apartment, that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the ones that make it to that level, always have a higher power in their life, always.
Right.
It
Absolutely.
without fail, and I try to talk to them about that being Jesus, but you know they're gonna find out. I mean, it's
Do
but
some
without a higher,
accept that?
yeah. I've gotten a couple of people. It's like some people were just like already ready to do that anyway, and or they were saved. They were saved or had experience before, and they just kind of had an issue with God,
Right.
and they needed to work out where that issue was in them, turning the blame game the other way, you know,
Right. Because we
and
do
take a
blame
look
a
at
God,
themselves.
God for a lot of our problems and don't accept personal responsibility for our actions. That's
Sure,
for
of course.
sure.
Yeah. And not only that, but like some people could look at God where like you're like, oh wow, that's a pretty like bigoted rule or bigoted law, right? But if you look at it, God doesn't put rules there just to judge you, God puts rules there because it benefits your life, you know
Right.
and if you can see that maybe you were born attracted to men or whatever, right? And I don't think as a baby no one's attracted to anybody, but let's say you have that belief that you were born attracted to men, right? Well well if you follow that line of perversion, it will affect your life in a negative way, and those rules are in place that God put there for your benefit.
Right.
And if that's your weakness, that rule is especially for you. You know,
Well,
you know what I
and the
mean?
thing is that I mean, the things he tells us not to do are really
Yeah.
just for our own good. I mean, it's not like they're,
Right. Right.
pleasure things. Like he doesn't say don't go out and work. He didn't say don't go out and farm, don't go out and fish, don't go out and camp, don't spend
Right.
time with your family. It's like don't steal,
Right.
don't rob, don't kill, you
Right.
know, don't fool around on
Well,
your husband or wife. I mean, they're good things to not do.
oh, and you're right. You're right. And I'll tell you before I became a Christian, right? Which I would say I did that in my mid-20s when I started really losing my mind kind of. Like I turned to God, and where I would say I am a Christian person, that I would identify myself that way. But before that, I mean, I was as far left as you could get. Like I thought I was a far left progressive thinker, and everybody should have equal everything, and I still believe that everyone has equal value.
Hmm.
But God made us all different for a reason. Like now I'm starting to appreciate the differences people have. And
Right.
and if you would have asked me, about, like, the gay marriage and all that stuff, like I was like, oh yeah, man, they should be able to be happy and be married, and they're decent people, whatever. And I still don't have a problem with most gay people or really any of them, you know and I know a couple of them pretty closely. There's a lot out here, but like if you look into that world a little bit deeper, it is um, what you what people that are homophobes are afraid of. Like it is like perverted. It's a more perverted lifestyle. If you've seen one of these pride parades, I mean, it's and it's hard for me to talk this way because I'm not a judgmental person by nature, right? And so, like, if you watch some of these pride parades, I mean, they're just like people naked, walking around in the streets in front of children. I mean, in fact, they
Right.
got kids that are, drag kids or whatever. It's horrific. It's a horrific sight. And
Right.
and I'm not saying that people don't deserve equal rights, right, for who they are, because God gave free will to everybody, and that's their free will that God gave them. The only reason they can do what they do is because of God, right? But I have to separate myself from that and see it for what it is and be responsible about it. Like, hey, it doesn't make me feel good to look at that and know that it's not good. when I really just love people and want everyone to be happy, you know? But not
Right.
everyone can be happy when when the rules are being broken, you know what I mean? So it's hard to balance that, right? Where do you balance what you'll tolerate and what you won't? Because I'm called to love those people, not called to tolerate them. I have to tell them the truth, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know, like if they don't care
Absolutely.
about salvation and they don't care about God, well then they can just go, go live your life, But if they care about salvation, they gotta know. It's like, hey
Right.
man, you're not gonna make it, bro. If I wouldn't be a friend if I didn't tell you.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
it's hard to talk about, isn't it?
Well, it can be, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on who you're talking to too.
Yeah, true.
Some it's easier to and some it's not. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And I
But
don't have any judgments about people. Like I tolerate people. I just know what the rules are and why they're there. I have a pretty good understanding of why they're there and what it could bring. And it's like, it is what it is, right? But, I have such a small understanding of the world, and God has like ultimate understanding. Like I would probably do rules differently, sure, because I'm soft like that, right? But like I'm not a holy God, right? I don't see into the future what it will do, what you'll bring into your household, or what you'll bring around your kids, or how far it'll go. Like I can't judge that, right? And so
right. No, I get that. And I think that's the one thing most people have a hard time understanding is just how all knowing God is. You know,
yeah,
there isn't anything that's not known. I mean, when he says every hair on your head is counted, I mean, think about the billions of people that's ever lived and how much hair is on all those heads.
yeah,
And he has a number for every one of them.
yeah. He
That's
does.
big. I mean, that's a big God, right?
He cares about everything.
Absolutely.
I remember hearing your boy Aaron Rodgers one time on a football game. After a football game, I guess the Dallas Cowboys missed a big catch. I guess the guy caught it, but they got screwed, and 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 the Packers won. And
He dropped it.
so
He didn't catch it.
right, and then right, and then the a reporter afterwards says, "Hey, were you thanking God when that when I forget what his name, Des Bryant dropped that pass, right?" And Aaron Rodgers said, "I don't think God cares about football." And immediately in my brain, and I don't know why, I was like, "No, God cares about everything." Like he has
Yeah.
infinite time for your football game and world hunger. And people act like it's God's fault that people are starving when really if somebody came from like another planet or a robot was built, right? All they would say is, hey, the rich people need to share with the poor people, you know? But
Right.
they're not going to do it. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Right.
man invites the devil in everything, right? Like we've learned in Job that the only the only way the devil can affect you is if you sin or if God allows it, right? And so it's us. We bring the devil into the world.
Into
The
our
devil
life.
exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, the devil exists because of us. The evil and all that because we let him in. If we were really hard on sin and everything, then we wouldn't be, still bad things would happen, but there wouldn't be any world hunger, that's for sure, if we were all running it like a strict church. And
Right.
like if someone acted up, you put them outside the gate. Like, hey, you got to go.
Right.
you
Now it's
know,
be tolerant, accept everything. And that's not how it was done in the Bible. That's not how God told us to do these things.
that's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
and actually says, shake the dirt off your sandals too when you leave. Don't even take their
Yeah.
dirt with you.
You know,
I mean, there's
and I
something
think
to that.
there is. I mean, it like in communities, like if somebody was acting up, that would like how quickly that spreads. Like that'll
Right.
spread to another person and to another person, and before you know it, you got a group of people saying, "Hey, this is too harsh," or "Hey, this isn't right." You know,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
we all are individuals, right? But like, but we're supposed to work together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how God planned it, you know. And there wasn't supposed to be any suffering or death, you know.
Work together, live together, share everything, you know.
Yeah. And we're all different, right? We have different roles. We're different. We have differences. We people confuse equal value. Like I'm worth just as much as anybody else, and anybody else is worth as much as me, right? But like we're made different for a reason. We have different, different abilities, different things to
Strength,
offer.
yep,
Yeah,
different gifts, everything.
sure, sure, absolutely. And if we actually, instead of assimilating so much, like if we like really kept our cultures alive, right, and had like a really strong culture for everybody, then we would be able to try different foods, different ways of healing each other, different ways of, it would be, or different ways to dance, party. I mean, it would be, a buffet of things,
Mm-hmm.
but because everyone has to be the same and equal and everything's got to, if you're a construction worker, I got to be a construction worker. Even if I'm not good at it, I get the same money as you. Like all this, who gets what, and fairness, right? And all it leads to is the world really becoming more and more unfair, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Because
it's
when you
crazy.
figure, when you have a society like that where like you work hard, but someone who doesn't do anything gets equal or more benefits, I mean, that just leads into a society of lazy, dumbed down people that don't want to work and expect everything for free. And that's
Yeah,
where we've come from.
and the people that are working, it's very deflating, man. You're like, what am I
Absolutely.
doing this for? Like, this guy's gonna ruin it, I
Right.
put this up and this guy's gonna mess it up. What's
Right.
the use,
Right. No, every
And
time, there's nothing free. Someone has to pay for it.
that's
That's that
right.
whole thing with Obama, free Obama money, free this, free that. Well, someone's paying for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big pop pretty soon.
Right. I mean, it might be free to you, but everybody else that's going to work and paying taxes,
That's
it's
right.
not free to them,
That's right.
you know.
And that's what I tell people, like when I'm down at the VA, and I'm not going to tell any soldier or any former soldier that they don't deserve everything they get. They should, whatever, they made their choices, they get what they get. But like, I try to tell people that say, "Oh, the VA is shitty" or something, or it's not. Pardon my language. The VA is not good or whatever. I'm like, hey man, like think about what we get, like think about all the stuff we get for what you really put in, Yeah, you faced a couple of dangerous situations, put your life on the line, and you get rewarded for that, and you get treated like a hero everywhere, you know. And think about a teacher that works her ass off, right? And like she doesn't get the appreciation you get,
Yeah, you don't want to bring up teachers and me. I have a whole different view on
you got
that.
you're kind of against teachers, or
All they do is indoctrinate and lie to our kids.
oh, that's
They don't
true,
even
that's
work
true.
a half a year and get massive amounts of pay. Always
See, and
complaining and
before,
whining about their retirement because they want us
see,
to pay for it. So no, I got a whole different view on these worthless teachers we have out there.
you just taught me something right there. Like, why do we get this feeling that teachers are underappreciated?
Because
Like,
because you got to say that when you're running for office.
wow, man,
Every time
the,
you run for office, they're going to do this for the teachers, that for the teachers. I mean,
the
well, for one, they're
union,
the ones that
huh?
indoctrinate all these kids and tell them all these lies, right? That
Oh
you're
my God! And
think
now
about it.
here
That
I am saying it.
and then it
You
goes
know?
up to the collegiate level where they get tenure. So after 10 years, you can't fire them, so they can teach whatever they want, and you can do about it. There is this one
Yeah.
teacher. It's years ago, so I can't remember the whole story behind him. I think he was, and it was. I think he was high school because in New York, I believe you can get tenured, and I may be wrong on the state, but he'd be like patting, these girls on the butts and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Teenagers, and they couldn't fire him.
Right.
So what they did is they actually made a room for him to go to. So all day long he'd sit in a room, you know, by himself. He couldn't teach, but he'd get full pay, full benefits.
Oh my God.
And they
That's
couldn't fire him. I mean,
disgraceful.
you tell me that's legit. I mean,
That's a crime, what he's
it's a
doing.
crime.
I mean, he should go to jail for that. You know, it's sad to see like what like the laws really aren't. And Arwen had a good show about this. I wish he would have kept going with this because he's really better at this than he is at science, even though he's a smart guy with science. But he said, you know, the rules are really there, right? There's like different ways of looking at it, right? The rules are there for like the honest people will follow the rules, right? They'll just follow them because the rules are there. There'll be like the section of people that debate about the rules. What do they actually mean? What is this word actually saying? You know, and they'll legalize everything, and make sub rules and all that. There's that one class of people, and then there's the people that'll just find loopholes and bend the rules, those people. And then you got people that just break the rules and don't care,
Right.
and it's like not like the rules aren't for everyone, uh, for there to be order for everyone. It's just to keep the good people already in line, and for them to be able to still do heinous things like that. Like this guy got tenure, right? He got a loophole, some kind of loophole that he worked, right? And then he's committing crimes against people's children, which is horrific,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
he may not have touched him. It could have been verbal. Like I say, it's been years ago,
Either
so I don't
way,
remember the
right?
story. But either way, I
As a
mean, the guy
child.
he was abusive to where he couldn't actually be in a classroom with children, so they built a room for him to stay in and watch TV all day and get paid.
It's shameful,
I
man.
mean, that's basically, what it came down to.
Wow.
But we got to give our teachers more pay because they work so hard. I mean, they don't
Well,
even they're off. They actually have more days off than they work.
well, you know what I think is a good job. That's like, I mean, I hate to say it, right? Like, but I think like, because my mom stayed home, she was a housewife, right? And like, if I can't imagine if I didn't have my mom there, like what life would have been like,
Right.
like,
No, I mean,
cause
that's kind of how life should be, right?
yeah, I mean, my
The
mom
man
did like,
provides outside the house, the wife provides inside the house. I mean,
yeah, and that's
kind of
how we
how
had
it's
it. That's how we had it at my house. My mom did like do like daycare sometimes when dad like was out of work or whatever. But like to make things work out, but
right.
uh but I mean, you just don't see that anymore. In fact, it's almost like it's impossible for you got to work two jobs, right? Nowadays. And
Because of the lifestyle we choose to live.
that's true. I guess because I make it on a shoestring budget, and I still find ways to scrimp away money to send to the kids, like
Right.
extra here, extra there. Because my my oldest son, right? He's the most woke one out of the two, right? But he's still very much indoctrinated. I'm just working on him, and he's agreeable. And from the very beginning, I'm like, this COVID thing is bull crap. But he can't tell his girlfriend that because she's trying to be a doctor, so she obviously has her opinions about things, right? And I like his girlfriend, so I want to keep all that perfect, and
Right.
uh and so he finds out like the other day, like 4 or 5 days ago, he said he has COVID, you know and so he told my youngest son, and my youngest son told me he wasn't going to tell me, and I said, son, do you really have COVID-19? And he said, yeah, he's got it, right? They said he had it. He said, I don't really feel nothing. I just like, it's like the flu or whatever. I'm like, man, it's lies, man. It's all lies. And I told him, I said, hey, now that you've had this stuff though, and it's on your record, they now you don't need a vaccine,
And
because
that
you've had
who
it.
tested him?
I don't know. He said he went to the hospital, and that's what they said he had. I didn't question him any further than that because I believe him. But like, I was like, well, this means you don't have to take that vaccine, because I was going to tell him to resist that vaccine and not but just not do it, right? Without really a reason to give him. And
Right.
now I'm telling him, well, since they said you have it, right, then you've already had it, right? If they say you need a vaccine anyway, then that's fishy. Then don't get it, because that's fishy. That ain't right. And it gives me more weight. But
Right.
I mean, he probably just has whatever, some regular cold, and they just told him he had
Well, sure.
COVID-19. You
Well,
know,
sure. I mean, since
it,
COVID-19 doesn't exist, there's got to be that, right?
right, right. And I'm not fooled by any of that. And of course, my kid's sick, so I have to kind of baby him a little bit. You know,
Oh, I get
I
that. Yeah, I get absolutely get
but it's
that.
like, I'm very clear about what I think happened. I'm like, yeah, they told you I had COVID. I don't think it's really COVID, but I send them an extra $20. I'm like, stay home from work one more day, and just rest, and drink fluids and all that stuff.
Right.
He's gonna be out of work for 14 days, and the poor kid lives day to day, so do what I can for him.
Right. No, I get it. Absolutely. No, but the
But
thing is,
it's
we gotta just. It's like early on in with this, even when you know it's not legit, and all of a sudden you start not feeling good. I mean, it kind of runs through the back of your head. Maybe it is real, but people have been
right,
catching colds and the flu for like thousands of years, right? What
sure,
makes this any different?
right,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't see anybody getting sick and dying and bodies laying in the streets. And I
I
mean,
mean,
is anyone seeing that?
it's been 9 months, right? They said this thing is global, right? It's spreading globally. Every country in the world shut down everything, right? Every casino, those greedy suckers,
Yep.
every place where they were, usually if I was going to say, hey, you guys need to shut down, a business owner that's making that kind of money that way would say, no, no, you better go through legislation and courts and fight me and all this stuff. And, you got to prove to me that this is really killing people before I shut my doors,
Well, ask
like
yourself this: how
everyone
are they paying
agreed
these
just to,
athletes?
yeah, everyone just agrees, man. Oh, we'll shut down the doors. No problem. That's pretty fishy,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
You
and
know?
these guys are signing contracts huger than anything. I mean, two, three,
Yeah,
$400 million deals. Where's that money
right.
coming from? There isn't a single soul going to a game.
That's right.
I mean, merchandise sales have to be dropping dramatically, right?
You have to know that it's not even about money anymore. They'll just print it
Absolutely
if they
not.
want it.
Yep.
It's about our souls, man. If people don't realize that soon, it's going to be it's going to be a tough day for a lot of, there's a reckoning coming.
Absolutely.
And it's like God sacrificed himself so we didn't have to be a part of that. So that we didn't have to be accountable for even our own actions. And then, if people have a grudge against God, because there's a few rules that they don't like or whatever, hey, look, there's a few rules in there I don't like too that were hard for me to change, you know?
Right.
But it's an uphill battle for everybody. And, I can say this now as a grown man that has a pretty decent life. I'm not a child that has cancer right now, right? Breathing one more breath and is scared and all that, right? So you put things into perspective, right? Who has it worse? There's people
Right.
on earth that have it worse than just us having to follow the rules that you may or may not like, and take the gift of paradise, which is promised in the Bible by God, right, for eternity. I don't know
Absolutely.
why that doesn't sound like a good deal. Like when I was a Christian, right? For I would consider myself a Christian for probably 10, more than 10 years before I found out about flat Earth. And when I just knew for a fact that God was real, like it still shocked me, right? Like, oh my God, this is I was right all along, like I told you guys, man. Like I was it was the best day of my life, man. I
Right.
like why wouldn't you think that that's our best case scenario for us? What
Right.
why would you want to fight against that? Like I understand you want proof or you want whatever you want, but why come up with all this like dishonest science and tricks and all that stuff to try to disprove it when you could just see if it's true or not, and if it is, then live with it. I mean, either way, you got to accept it. I mean, it could be we were created by a giant that's eats people, right? Well, that's his business. He made us, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? We're lucky that we got created by a God like this, right? I mean, like,
Absolutely.
I mean, how could you look at this as like some kind of I don't understand why anyone would want to fight this
Right.
scenario. The best
Right.
part about it is it's true. There's like now, I mean, before all this, finding out that everything is a lie and all that, right? Yeah, there was a lot of like stuff that kind of was against the Bible, and people were scrutinizing the Bible, and it was hard to defend, but we still did it. But now that we know that everything is a lie and everything in the Bible starting to like look pretty darn true, it should give people vindication, right?
And hope. I mean, my goodness. Who wouldn't
Oh,
want
wow.
that?
I'm so happy. I couldn't even tell. Well, if I knew for a fact my kids were saved, right? If I knew for a fact, right? Which I'll never know. It's between them and God, right? But if I knew for a fact my kids were saved, man, I wouldn't need anything else ever in life. I would float. I probably would be able to float. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Right.
already happy. I mean, I've done everything I can do. And the only thing left to do is to try to maybe not convince other people, but be there for other people that want to
You
accept
can't
Christ
convince
too.
nobody. Just tell them, keep preaching the truth, baby. You know what I mean? That's all we
It,
can do.
you're right.
Preach the
You're right.
gospel and move on.
And that's the thing. The gospel's so simple, and I don't understand why people are either. I don't know if they feel like they're undeserving, because we are. We all are, right? Or
Absolutely, we are undeserving.
because people look at it like, oh, all we have to do is have faith, but it's like, well, no, that's not really it. All we have to do is have a perfect living sacrifice, you know, in order to pay our punishments, and have faith in that he did it, right? It's not just the faith, right? It's a large price to get into heaven, you
Yep.
know, but
Yep.
God did it for us,
He paid it for us. Yep.
and I don't know if it's because people feel like they don't deserve heaven, or they just don't want other people to go to heaven, or I don't understand
It's not that they
why.
just don't want anybody else to go to heaven. They just don't believe in it.
And that breaks my
I
heart.
mean, that's a decision we have to make, believe it or not, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
good versus evil. You choose one or the other. But I better run here, bruv.
Okay, buddy. Good talk, man.
Yeah, hey, I'll get this one up today. I've been recording.
Oh yeah, you recorded it, man. Is this a good one, you think?
I think so. I think it's really good.
I kind of touched in on some make a disclaimer at first that we're not prejudiced or anything, because I hope I didn't sound prejudiced.
Against who?
Did I sound, because I was talking about like homosexuality a little bit.
Oh, nah, 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 nah.
I think I was pretty, because you have to tell the truth, right? I mean,
I think we should, right?
I don't know, man. I don't, but put it out there. I'm not ashamed of any of that. So,
No, yeah, no. I mean, I'll just trim a little bit in the beginning there, and in the end here, and I think we're good, man.
okay.
All right, bruv. I'll see
Love
you
you,
at
brother.
Armin's if I can get there.
Yep. Yep. God bless you.
God bless. Peace out.
All right.